Hi guys. So today I'm gonna be sharing with you guys my journey with, I've never been diagnosed, so technically it's like vestibular migraines slash vestibular neuritis slash labyrinthitis. And if you are sick with any of those, you kind of understand why I haven't been diagnosed, just because it's so hard. I mean, it's everything kind of intertwines with each other, so it's really hard to just pick one and be like, that's what you have. I think labyrinthitis is a little bit easier, but yeah, like the neuritis and migraines, it's hard to differentiate between them, so that's what's going on with me. Anyway, I promised you guys I would do a video, and I've wanted to do a video since I got sick. I remember laying in bed thinking to myself, like, if I ever feel better, I want to make a video to give others hope that, like, maybe the hope that, like, I didn't find in anything really. I wanted to give that to other people to help them, because honestly, the anxiety part of this condition is probably the worst I've ever had. And I've had some background with panic attacks and anxiety here and there. So this was definitely on another level. I don't know if that's because I've had them before, so my body was already used to it, or what. Give you, yeah. So anyway, I don't normally make videos, so this is super awkward for me. This is probably like my first video sitting here talking to myself, like talking to you guys, but like myself basically. So sorry if it's weird and I say weird stuff. I'm sorry, I don't know. Also, you might hear my dogs barking in the background just because they're outside and they're being crazy, so I'm sorry about that too. Anyway, so I kind of wanted to just share with you guys a little story of what happened to me in my journey, because I know everyone's kind of different, and we like to hear each other's journeys just to kind of compare and contrast. And I think comparing it definitely like helps you, knowing that someone else went through this and maybe they're feeling better now, so it gives you hope and all that. So that's what I want to do, and I hope to make sorry, I'm getting over sickness. I hope to make more videos in the future, maybe more in-depth videos about recovering, maybe a video about anxiety, because it's like a huge part of what I went through, and maybe just like a more in-depth journey video of what happened with me, because it's way too long to tell on, like, for this, and then I don't know, just too much. So yeah. Basically what happened, it was August of 2017. I had just gotten back from a trip to Disneyland with my family, and I was actually sick in Disneyland. I had this like horrendous cough, and so when it was like so bad. And then when I got back, it was kind of like lingering, but I was getting better. I was like on the mend. And long story short, I had weird symptoms that happened to me, like here and there, but I didn't really think anything of it. I just kind of felt like weird. I would get kind of like a flare-up of like anxiety, and I wasn't sure like what was going on. I did go to the doctor because I was getting like goosebumps all over my body, but like it was hot outside, so I didn't know if that was like normal or not, and I was just feeling anxiety like ish at the time. So I went to him, and at the time I was actually on phentermine, which was supposed to help with weight loss. That's a whole nother story. This is why it's so long, is because there's just so many things that intertwine with each other. But anyway, I was on like the lowest dose of it, and I wanted to get off because I didn't like the way it was making my body feel and stuff, and I was thinking that's why I was getting the chills. So anyway, my doctor was like, okay, like you're just gonna like cut this off, like just take a half a pill like tomorrow and you'll be fine, blah blah blah, and you can like kind of tamper down. So I was like, okay, and so I started taking just like the half, and I think it was like the next day or the day after that, I went to Starbucks and I was like, I want to try the refreshers. And so I got a refresher and I went with my mom and my sisters to lunch. And we were sitting like outside, just like talking and hanging out. And I was feeling fine. I started to scroll through my phone, like kind of looking down and scrolling. And I was like kind of fine for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, it just like hit me like a brick wall. My eyes felt like they rolled back into my head. And I just got like super unsteady feeling. And the pressure in my head just like disappeared. I felt like I had no top to my head. I felt like I was gonna faint at any second. And so I was like, oh guys, I don't feel good. And they're like, oh, drink water. So I'm chugging everyone's water at the table and like trying to feel better. And it's like not going away. And in my head, like I didn't know what was happening. So I was thinking, I was like having a caffeine overdose because there's caffeine in phentermine and there's caffeine in like the Starbucks refresher, which I've never really had. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm having a caffeine overdose because I don't know what else it could be. And I tried to like kind of feel better and it was just getting worse and worse. And I was like, I need to go to the hospital. Like, I really don't feel good. And which was crappy because we were supposed to go look for my sister's like wedding dress. And so they're like, okay. So they took me to the hospital. On the way, like my whole body is just like shaking nonstop. I'm like terrified, like any minute I'm about to just like pass over and die. By the time I get to the ER and stuff, they like take me back and they do all this blood work and give me an IV and everything. And I tell them, I'm like, I think I'm overdosing from caffeine, but I'm like not sure what's happening. And they're like, I don't think it would be the caffeine because you really didn't have that much. And they're like, they just like couldn't like figure out what happened. They were just like, I don't know, dehydrated or something, or anxiety, I guess. And I was like, okay, that's weird because I've never had anxiety attack like that. But so anyway, they gave me something to like help reverse caffeine overdose if it was that. And I'm not sure what it was, but it kind of like made me a little like chill. And so, I did that. They like discharged me from the hospital. I went home and I like was starting to feel a little better, but I was still weird. And I was like, I want to go to the store and get a couple things. So we ran over to Walmart, me and my fiance, and like the second I step into Walmart, it like hits me again and I start getting super dizzy and I panicked and I'm like, I just want to go home. I'm like crying. It's awful. So we like go back home and I like couldn't eat that night. I was so like sick to my stomach. I couldn't eat. I couldn't like focus on anything. I was like terrified out of my mind, like what was happening. And so I ended up like trying to go take a shower. And normally like showers is what kind of calms me down and relaxes me. So whenever I'm like sick or I'm like stressed out, I just go take a shower and I just relax. And so I went to go get in the shower and I like couldn't stand it, like, which was weird because I always like liked the sound of the shower and like the feel, and it was like making my anxiety like worse and it was just like heightening everything. So I was like, this is weird. So I shut the shower off and I go lay down in bed. And this kind of happens like for the next couple days where it's like on and off. So I was going to the ER like multiple times per week. And it started getting worse. And finally I was just at the point where I couldn't even get out of bed. I just remember crying all the time. I like couldn't take care of my daughter, which was really hard because I was a stay-at-home mom and that was like my one job, is to take care of my daughter. And it was just hard to see her come home from school and I couldn't help read to her because staring at the words would like make it flare up worse. So sorry. It was just a really hard thing to go through, especially when you have a young child. You don't know what's going on and you're scared. You're not sure if like you have some kind of disease that someone's skipping and they're not like, they're missing, and you have that and you feel like you're about to die. It's like terrifying. This disease is like terrifying. It's not a disease, but like, I mean, I don't know what it is. It's terrifying though. So it was extremely hard the next like couple weeks to months. My fiance like told me, like, felt like I was gone. Like I was just like, I was a totally different person. I was in bed. I was terrified constantly. My, even laying in bed, it's like you couldn't escape it, because even just trying to lay down and relax, you would feel like you're falling off the bed. I would feel like I was like rolling off the bed. And when I was walking, it kind of felt like the floor was almost moving. My vision would vibrate. I had so many different symptoms with this. That's why I was like so terrified, because it wasn't just like, I'm a little dizzy. Like, it was so many things. My legs would feel super weak, and I would get like tingling in my legs and my back, and I would get vision, like weird spots in my vision, like almost like when you, like, I don't know, you see stars. Like, I saw stars at one point, and I would get just weird, just so many weird things that was happening to me, and no one could explain it. And honestly, like, all the doctors, like when I first started seeing them, I would be like crying to them, like begging them to find out like what was happening, and no one could help me. So that was like really hard. Sorry. So my, sorry, I'm getting all these notifications on my phone. My doctor had said it was anxiety, and so they gave me anxiety medication. I'm kind of skip over a lot of like the doctor's visits and things like that, because it's just too long. Obviously, it's just like I have to do a totally different video. But she gave me anxiety medication, and I had to go see tons of different doctors. I had severe acid reflux, so I saw a gastrologist. Sorry if I just mess up all these words, I don't know. I saw a neurologist, I saw an ophthalmologist, I saw an ENT, I saw a physical therapist, I saw a vestibular therapist, I saw a dentist because I had TMJ, and I'm trying to think if that's, pretty much saw a doctor for every part of my body, because I had different things happening, and no doctor could treat all of them at once because they couldn't explain what was happening. So they would send me to all these different specialists, and the specialists would kind of treat what they knew was in their thing. So like the gastrologist would just treat the acid reflux, but he couldn't treat any of the other symptoms. And so, sorry, I have like that cough still. I also saw a cardiologist because they did an EKG like constantly on me. And everything was fine though. Every time I went to the ER, they would have to do the EKG, but it was fine, which was good. And sorry, I need to get water. One sec. Okay, got my water. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I did all the, anything you can think of, I did it to find out what was happening. I was terrified of Google because every time I typed in a symptom, it was like, you're dying. And I was like, that's great. And it was really crappy. I know this condition mimics MS, which is absolutely terrifying to think if you have that or not. And being so young and stuff, it was just, I don't know, the more I read about it, the more I was more convinced. I was like, what if I have this like in my mind? And it was just really terrifying. And no doctor could be like, no, you don't, because they had to do the like MRI for that and stuff to see if you have that. And so I actually ended up getting an MRI later, like months later, because everything just takes so long. That's another thing, is that with this, when you go to the doctor, it's not like, oh, we'll just run all these tests today and we'll figure it out what it is. Like, it's not like the shows. It literally takes months to get appointments set up. Like, for some of my symptoms I would like set the appointments, and then by the time I went there, it might have like gone away. So it was just, it sucked. The whole thing just sucked. It sucked. But anyway, I did the MRI and it was totally normal. And she said, my neurologist was saying that I had vestibular migraines, like migraines basically. So she gave me prescriptions for that. My general practitioner gave me prescriptions for anxiety. I had prescriptions for acid reflux. I had prescriptions for dizziness, for nausea, for I had so many prescriptions written to me. It was absolutely nuts. I still have them in my cabinet because I don't know, I'm like a weirdo. I'm like, just in case. And it is kind of nice to have like the nausea, the one, because now I can use that when I'm kind of feeling nauseous, I guess. I don't know. But I would carry all of my like meclizine, hydroxyzine, like all these pills in my purse with me anywhere I went because it was like kind of like my emergency medication. And yeah, that's another thing is all these doctors were prescribing me for that one specific symptom. So I would have 20,000 prescriptions when I shouldn't have really had any. Someone should have kind of brought everything together, but they couldn't, and it's okay, but I'm still alive, so that's good. But yeah, so anyway, I went to see the ENT finally, and they did what is that called? VNG? I got an ENG too, I think, in my legs. But a VNG is where I'm pretty sure this is right, but if I'm wrong, just correct me in the comments, I guess. But a VNG is where they do all these different kind of like dizzy tests on you to see like if you have vertigo or if you have loss in your ears. And this is actually where I kind of got some answers. Is they came back and they said I had 60% loss in my left ear, which like in my head I'm just like, that makes sense why I could be dizzy is because I don't have fluid in one side of my ear, so it could be off balance. So that was actually kind of nice to know, that something was wrong with me, I guess, like, which is like the sickest part about this condition is because you're almost like begging to like have something be wrong so that you know in your head you're not like going crazy and it's not just like anxiety. Like, it's weird. I don't like it. But that's just like what happened. So once I knew that, I started to do like the vestibular rehabilitation stuff, like therapy, and I can do a couple of videos on that to show you like exactly what I did, all the exercises, because I know like it is so hard to get these appointments set up, especially if you don't have like insurance or something. Like, how are you supposed to get help? So I am definitely willing to make videos for you guys so you can watch me and like watch all the exercises I did with like sticky notes and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that can actually help you, but the thing about this condition is that, like, if you have this, is that when you start doing these exercises, it's going to like make it almost worse at some points, but you just have to remember, like, the worse it's getting, like, maybe the better it can get. So I would definitely like just stick out these like exercises and stuff to just try and do as much as you can every day with not only exercises, but with just like getting out, like, or not even getting out, just like doing stuff around your house that maybe you don't think you can do. Like, do a load of laundry, like do the dishes, like sweep, like, I don't know, just do something where you like can slowly push yourself to learn how to like function again. You have to push yourself, and your brain will compensate for that. It's recompensating right now, like as we speak. Your brain in your body is like absolutely amazing. It can do so much for you. It has the power to like heal itself, which is like crazy. And so you have to like trust that. Like, I know it's terrifying right now, especially if you're laying in your bed watching me. You're terrified and there's no one that understands you. You might not have anyone to help you. I just want to let you know that like your body is working, even though you think it's broken and you think there's something wrong with you. Like, it hasn't given up on you, so don't give up on it. Like, just stick it out. Like, every day, it could be hard, but if you think about it, like, this condition came on so quickly, it's gonna take time to heal, but also it's like, you don't know if it can go away tomorrow. Like, you honestly don't know your body and like what it's capable of until you just give it a chance. And I think that's like super amazing that we have these bodies that can do that. I mean, that is like a really cool part of just kind of being healed now, like seeing the process. Like, it took me months to get better, which I know for some people it can be weeks, it can be months, it can be years. It just depends. But it took me, like, my last episode that I've had since getting sick was last 2018 in, like, I want to say like May. Could have been a little later than that, but that was really like the last of like my, oh my God, like I have anxiety, dizziness and stuff. I still get bouts of it. Like, I still get little here and there, like dizzy spells and anxiety, like kind of flare-ups, but, and I'll get like ringing in my ear, or I'll get that like beep, and it like cuts out my hearing for a second and stuff, which before I think I would be kind of more terrified of, but now I just accept it and I'm just like, that's what's going on in my body today. So, yeah, just keep going. You got this. Stay calm. And yeah, I started to see more of a difference once I started doing more things to help in my recovery. So I did the VRT, VRT exercises. I did juicing. I did supplements. I did exercise when I could. I started eating extremely healthy. There was just a lot of things I did that I think really did help. I stopped all my medication though, and that is something I do want to emphasize on. If, I mean, obviously talk to your doctor about it, but for me, I made it a point to stop medication. If I didn't absolutely need it, like, I would make a point to not take meclizine because it can set you back in your progress of recovering. It can kind of hold you at a pace where your brain wants to keep going, but you're stuck there because you're taking this medication. It can maybe get stuck like that where it wouldn't progress. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but just like, read about it. Like, you can read about I don't know what I'm trying to say, but just read about your brain and how it functions and all that stuff, and like what meclizine does when you take it for a long period of time. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, this video is super long already, so I'm gonna stop it now, and I'm going to start up a new one and talk all about my recovery and how I got better. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. You guys can comment down below if you have any questions. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos. Bye-bye.